Okay, hello everybody. Jono here, and welcome to the Online Course Podcast, the place where online course creators go to sell more of their online courses. Now, I'm super excited this week because we actually have a salesperson on the line. If we're looking to sell more courses, it's probably a good idea if we know a thing or two about sales. So, a little bit about this person. He's the founder at The Covert Closer. He's also an author. And he's an absolute rock star when it comes to making sales, especially on the objection handling side of things. He actually has a guide as well, the 6-step objection handling guide. I'll put the links down in the show notes. So if you need a bit of a hand with that side of things, he will be able to help you out. But anyways, without further ado, let me introduce the one and only Mr. Justin Weeder. Justin, how are you?
I'm doing good, Jono. How are you doing, man?
Yes, I'm awesome. It's 9 a.m. Monday morning over here in Australia, so it's only downhill from here, right? Can't get any better from where I am, where I am at the moment. So you got me at a good time. Justin, I like to start all my podcasts off with a quote or mantra that inspires you or fires you up. Have you got one for us?
Absolutely. So I'm going to flip it on you a little bit and use a ledge, which I can explain later. But when a customer says that they want to think about it, one of my favorite responses is, hey, Mr. Customer, if this isn't right for you, I'd rather have a no right now. I promise you're not going to hurt my feelings. Is that where you're leaning right now?
Yes, love that. And I saw that quote on your Facebook, and I love it myself because there's nothing worse, right? When someone, they tell you, oh, let me think about it. They're never buying, but they just don't want it. They think they're going to hurt your feelings. So, they tell you that there, and there's nothing worse because you just don't know. You got to chase this person up. You feel annoying. You feel sleazy. Whereas if that person just told you, great, hey, have a nice life. Or on the flip side, maybe there's an actual reason. Maybe they're like,
yeah.
You know what? It's just a bit expensive. And then maybe you can handle it that way or whatever it may be, but just find out either way, right?
Right. And that's really the key. And I think that's where a lot of salespeople struggle is they don't have a good way to find out or to make it safe for their customer to tell them what's wrong. And that's why the customer gives them some, fog BS about why they need to think about it. Like they don't really need to think about it. Thoughts instantaneous, they think something about it right now. And yeah, if you can figure it out, there's a lot of times it's a solvable problem.
Yes, agree. Well, hey, Justin, let my audience know a little bit about yourself. What is it you do? How'd you get into sales? Start wherever you want to start. Take it wherever you want to take it, and just let my audience know a little bit about you.
Okay, great. So I'm not your typical sales guy. And I get this comment a lot from people who meet me new and we talk sales because I'm a more reserved, quiet, kind of introverted guy. I fell into sales. I worked at Circuit City. That's a electronics shop out here in the States that's no longer in business.
Oh.
And I worked there.
I got excited. I thought it was a gym, Circuit City. I was like,
wait a second, Circuit City. Yeah, I'll have to send you a YouTube video of the old commercials. They had like a plug that anyways, anybody's in the US will remember those commercials. That's my age. And so I worked there and it was a great job. And I worked in the computer tech bench. So at the time I was 18 years old. I wanted to go to school for computer science. I was a big geek, right? I still am a big geek. I was. I just geek out about something different now. So I was on the tech bench and all of a sudden, customers started to kind of overrun the computer department and they needed me to go out there and help. And I went out there and I started selling and I was selling a laptop. And my boss pulled me aside kind of in the middle of while the customer was talking to his wife or whatever. And he's like, hey man, you need to offer these people an extended warranty. You need to offer them a laptop bag. You need to offer them a mouse. You need to offer them, let's see, what else did we attach? You need to offer them antivirus, anti-spyware. He's like, you need to offer them all this stuff before they check out. He's like, all you need to do is offer them to ask them if they want to get it. I was like, okay. And I was really nervous, but I'm like, okay, I'm 18 years old. I've only been at this job for a few months. I got to do a good job. Right. So I go back over there and I start offering it to them. They've said they want to buy the laptop. So we walk over to the cash register and we're going through the transaction here. And I start going, hey, do you guys want an extended warranty? And the guy goes, well, how long is that for? And I was like, well, 4 years is this price. And he goes, yeah, okay. I was like, all right, cool. And then I was like, well, do you want to buy some antivirus software? And he's like, well, how much is that? And then I said, no, it's this much. He goes, yeah, okay. And then I was like, do you want to buy a laptop bag? He's like, oh yeah, good point. Goes over there, gets a bag, comes back. All right, cool. Ring that up. And, by the end of it, the guy said yes to everything. And I couldn't believe it. And so he checked out, he left, we shook hands, whatever. And then the manager of the department comes over and he goes, you sold everything? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, oh my God, great job. And like, gave me a high five. And for me at 18 years old, I had never done anything extraordinary in my life before, ever. I mean, before working at Circuit City, I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. Like, I was not an impressive individual by any means, right? But I got this rush of just like, whoa, I did something good, like I provided value. And then you log into the computer system and like that sale was like, after everything was all said and done, it was like $3,000. And that like shot me to the top of the board that we'd log into and see. Nobody else had really sold anything that day. And it just felt good. And it was like a drug, like I got addicted to it. And so, yeah, then, long story short, after that, I was moved out to the sales floor and the rest is kind of history. I hope that answers your question.
No, yes, that's perfect. So let's talk about the online course world. So most people listening to this have an online course or are putting it together, almost finalized it, and they want to get out and sell more of it. Now, there's most people I've had on so far are actually more marketing people, to be honest, which is okay. Marketing's got its place, right? Here's my take on the whole online course ecosystem. Marketing and sales are different worlds. I think sales is more important because you can do all the marketing in the world. You can have all the leads, all the followers, all the emails in the world. If you're not closing any sales, you're not making any money. And all that marketing you did was a big waste of time. On the flip side, if you're good at sales, every minute you spend, every dollar you spend on marketing becomes worth it. So yes, marketing is important because we need people to sell to, right?
Yeah, totally.
But if you don't close that sale, then you've wasted all your time on the marketing. So I'm huge fan of sales. Now let's take it from that side of view, Justin. Let's say someone's done a bit of marketing. Maybe they've got a small list, maybe 200, 300 people, but they're not really making any sales. Now there's a big trend in the industry to do it via email, but I think we go the other way. And I think you're more of a phone sales specialist, right?
Yeah, that's right. Email. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Well, I was just going to say, let's maybe talk about, I think you're going to do it anyway. I think you're going to answer my question already. I was going to say, what's the advantage of a phone call via email? Why can't we just email someone and say, hey, here's the link, go and buy it?
You can do that. And there's a lot of people who will go and buy it and read your sales copy and, they'll mull it over and they'll buy it. But that's only one subsection of the population. The rest of the people, one of the things you learn in sales early on is the KLT factor, right? The know, like, and trust.
Oh, yes.
You'll sell anything to anybody as long as they know, like, and trust you. And that's true. But sometimes you can't build that just over email. There's also something to be said for the tonality and the value that you can provide to somebody on the phone.
Yep.
One of the things I think that I've relied on a lot in my sales career, like I've said before, my antithesis of the covert closer is the bro closer. That's the guy that you kind of think of when you think of sales, right? That's the sleazy car salesman that just shoves you into a car and browbeats you over the price. And then you leave and the next day you're going, what did I do? Right. That's the antithesis of what I want to do. And that's because I can't be that guy. I tried for a long time in my career. I tried to be that guy and I can't. So the way that I really win in sales is by providing a lot of value up front. And I'm sure that's what you do in the online course world. You do that via email. You do that via your free content that you provide people. And that's great. But take it to the next level and get on the phone with them because that also gives you an opportunity to connect on a more human level than you can via just words on a page.
Yes, love it. So many good points of information there. I'll even expand on all of those because I know, Justin, you're quite good at this stuff. For you, this is common sense. You rattle it out. I'm going to expand it for the listeners because maybe they've never been on the phone before, Maybe they've just, been behind the computer and everyone's telling them, hey, email and build your list and social media and all good stuff. But here's the takeaways I took there from what Justin said. The first one is the know, like, and trust. And there's no comparison between me sending an email to 10,000 people or me even just jumping on the phone for 15 minutes. That 15-minute phone call is thousands times more valuable than sending out, even if you're really good at email and you make it personal and you reply to every email and you reply to your comments on social media, it does not compare to that level of on the phone. And what I've even found myself, because I do a lot of phone sales myself, even if I don't close that sale then and there on the phone, that person's still on my email list anyway. The chances of them coming back and signing up later is so much higher than the people that I never spoke to. So I think that's an advantage as well. Yes, it's easier to close the sale then and there, but even if you don't, you've got more chance of closing it later via email because you've actually had that conversation with that person, which I think is important. In terms of the value, now I like that because it can be more specific. Email's great, but it's sort of, here's advice for everyone. If I jump on the phone call in 15 minutes, so Justin, what's your situation? So you do this, okay, and this, and that. Cool. Hey, here's exactly what I would do for your specific situation. And that is just, that's a game breaker, right? If you can give that there. The tonality, that's one thing, because I like to use a lot of tonality when I speak. And sometimes when I write, it doesn't portray like that, and we've all seen the examples, right? Where you write something and someone takes it like this, but you meant it completely different, right? So I think it's, it's important there. And yes, I like, I saw a good quote the other day. You'll love this, Justin. You may have even been the one that posted it. Oh, no, you won't. It was someone else. So another one of my friends called Justin, he made a quote about sales. Now, I'm probably going to butcher it because my memory sucks, but I'll get the message out there and we can go from there. What he was essentially saying was anybody can sell shit once, as in rubbish stuff. If there's something that you want to sell, anyone can sell it once. You know a basic script, you know a few objection handling. You can sell whatever you want, really. But if that thing is crap, that person's not coming back. And you're gone. They're never buying from you again and again and again. But if you can make sure that your product, and I shouldn't even say shit. I mean, if you sell something that doesn't match their needs, right? If you, bully them into to buying something that isn't really suited for them so you can make a few extra bucks, you might do that once, but you've lost that client for life. If you do it a better way, or customer for life, you do it a better way, then it's, you've got a better relationship there. So I love that. So, all right. So say from here, Justin, let's say someone's listening to this and they're like, all right, now I'm going to start getting on the phone with people. Where's the first point? Should you sort of tailor your marketing? So it's like, instead of just entering in your email, also enter your phone number? Or is it, instead of just sending someone a link saying, hey, what's your number? Let me give you a quick buzz and give you the run through. Or is it, sending out an email and saying, hey, I've got some discovery calls open. What suggestions could you give us there? How do we start to get on the phone and talk to people?
Yeah. Just like anything. And, in the marketing side, you really take time to think this through, but think about what's going to be valuable for them. And then think out, the way I do it is through my lead magnet. So my lead magnet is a 6-step objection system. And there's a lot of theory and then there's some practicality stuff in there. But for someone who's new to sales, it might be a little tough. A lot of the psychology that's in that guide is a little tough for you to come up with on your own. And so I always offer, hey, if you want help customizing this, you can't think of anything, or you want to know if your stuff is good, or if you even just want a partner to role play it with and get some feedback, here's my calendar, book a time.
Love it.
And so if you build that into your lead magnet, some people won't need it. Great. Those people aren't probably going to be the prospects that you want to get on the phone with anyway. And so then you get on the phone with them, and then through that process, I'm kind of lucky in the way that it works out. Like, it allows me to kind of qualify the person I'm dealing with, because I have to know about what they're selling and how they do that, and what their customer persona is and how much they know about that and everything. I don't exactly work with people that are fresh into sales unless it's like an entrepreneur. So I need to know that they're selling a product they know about, that they know their persona, all the stuff that you do while you're setting up your marketing when you're doing your online course, right? But yeah, if you can offer it as a part of your lead magnet or as an enhancement to your lead magnet. Something else that I do is offer that I have a script builder tool as well. And so I offer that as a bonus when you get the script builder tool. Hey, you've bought the script builder. Now we can also jump on the phone and I can help you customize it. That way it's very low touch, because people are also afraid of being hard closed, so to speak. Right.
Yeah.
And so if you give them that kind of that direction, or they feel like that's what's going to happen, then they won't ever want to book a call. But if you're just jumping on to help them, and it's like, y'all probably follow Frank Kern, and he says, right, you want to prove to someone you can help them by actually helping them. Right. And so I really try to live that mantra when it comes to jumping on the calls with people. And then from there, you can ask them if they want to have a conversation about working with you further.
Awesome. Cool. All right. Well, hey, my next question from here, Justin, and we can sort of go two ways. I know that your specialty is in the objection handling side of things. Now, I don't know if we dive straight into that, because I'm guessing we probably need to do some homework, or we need to ask some questions with this person before we get to the objection handling. Where would you like to take this conversation, Justin? Should we talk about the early part, or should we go straight to objections and sort of go back and forth? What do you think would be the best?
Well, I think it'd be valuable for, let's talk about the early part of the call too.
Yeah.
Because if you don't do that part right, then you don't have the right to handle their objections later.
Bang on. All right, cool. So let's say, where should we start this? So it's going to slightly depend on what the person's. No, I'm just going to leave it to you. What are your? So you've got on the phone with someone, and we can go many different ways. It can be whether it's your strategy there, whether we've built it into the lead magnet, or maybe it's just someone that said, "Hey, I'm interested in your course. Can you give me more info?" Where do we sort of go with that?
Yeah, the biggest thing that you want to do when you're qualifying people early on in the call is to dig into their goals and their reason why. Everybody, when they want to accomplish anything, there's a reason why. And it's usually the thing I found in sales that really will skyrocket to the top and make closing sales easy. You probably won't even need to handle objections, is getting clear on what that person really wants. There's the reason they're going to tell you up front. But there's also what I like to call the real life outcome, which is, what does that bring them in real life? So give an example. Let's say you're a salesperson. You want to learn how to close objections better. What's the real life outcome of that? Well, you're going to make more money. Okay, not quite, because money is useless without a person attached to it, right? So what do you want to make that money for? And what's funny is when you ask somebody this question, it's almost like they've never thought about it before. And they'll think through it, and then that will give them that clarity, right? And that's part of what you do as a coach, is you help people get clarity. So, you ask them, well, they say, well, I want to pay off some credit card debt. Okay. So credit card debt. So then let's say you want to talk about the future. Okay. So the credit card debt's the pain they're dealing with. Now let's look at the future. Okay. So let's say you pay off the credit card debt. It's 12 months from now. What now? And then you bring them to the end of the outcome of what they're searching for, all the way until you get some feelings involved, right? Because up to this point, so it sounds like I'm talking to a computer. I want to make more money. I want to pay off a credit card, right? Like, why? Well, I want to feel accomplished. Or, my parents taught me that being in debt is bad. And so this is a real life answer I've gotten. My parents taught me my whole life that being in debt is bad. And I'm in debt right now. And if I don't get out of debt as soon as possible, it's just going to make me more and more depressed, right? Or I'm going to disappoint my parents, or, whatever. Okay, cool. So now we went from, I want to master objections, to, I want to make my parents proud. One of those is weak. The other one is very strong.
Yes.
And so that's the idea.
Awesome. Okay. So question on that. Where do we weave that in? So let's say, for example, I get on the phone with Justin. I'm like, all right, hey, Justin, I know you want to get better objections. Why? Do I go straight away, or do we do some small talk first, or do we need to add value first, or how do we weave this in? That's my take. I feel if someone asked me that straight away, I'd probably answer them, but I could see maybe some people being a bit closed there. Any tips there?
Yeah, of course. It really comes down to the purpose of the call. So if you promise them that you're going to provide value to them, provide the value first. Solve the issue that you promised them that you're going to solve by getting on the phone. And then bring it up at the end, like, hey, so we, for example, if I'm having a conversation about objections and I'm helping someone with this process, hey, so we nailed this down. I'm just curious, what made you decide to jump on this call with me? Why is this? Like basically, and then you start the conversation from there. Sometimes people will just reach out to you and say, I want to learn more about your courses. That's a perfect opening for you to say, okay, why?
Yes, love it. Awesome. All right, cool. Any other tips there on the front end? So great, we've got this person's goal. We know what they want. We've gone a little deeper. We know their why. What's the next sort of step from there?
The next step from there would be then connecting your product as the bridge to that why, right? And the best thing that you can do is do it in a way that makes it seem like there's no other way. And that's not always easy, right? But it's also a way to say, hey, you've known that you've wanted to get better at objections you can ask them, how long? Oh man, well, since I started in sales. How long ago was that? 2 years. Okay, so you've wanted to know that you're going to get better at objections for 2 years now. How come you haven't done anything about it till now? Right? And you want to get them to tell you why they haven't. And when you ask them that question, they're talking to a coach. You've primed them as the fact that you have an online course. They know that. Often they'll say, well, I don't know how. They say, okay, cool. Well, if that's the case, then I think this could help you. Do you want to hear about it? Another big thing in sales that I've learned is if you ask people permission, you're going to get a much more engaged audience. If I haven't said it yet, I may not have said it yet, but it's important also that through this process up to about now, if we're talking about it in a linear fashion, up until now, it's really important you don't bring up what your stuff does. Because all you're going to do is cloud the message, and you're going to give them, a reason not to listen to you, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because humans are all about curiosity. And so if they don't know what you got and you're asking them questions, they're going to answer your questions so that they can know what you got. But if you do it the other way and you tell them what you got and then you start asking them questions, the questions are going to feel like ways to try and close the deal, or ways that it's going to feel more manipulative to them, right? Which it's not the case. Yeah, I firmly believe that 95% of salespeople out there are not trying to manipulate anybody. It's just a matter of how things are perceived because of the stereotypes we're exposed to and maybe the personal events that have happened to that individual.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? Don't start with pitching your product. Ask them questions. Make sure they're a good fit for it even. If they have that in your mind as your intention.
Yes, love that. So many good things there as well, and it really rings home. So my first job was a personal fitness trainer, right? And then my first courses were to help personal fitness trainers grow their business. And this really rings home them because that's like the number one classic sales mistake with personal trainers. Someone will ring up, hey, how much does it cost? Oh yeah, here's my program. It's, $80 a session, and you get this and you get this and you get this and you get a nutrition plan and you get, support and you get a Facebook group and you get my basic nutrition guidelines and you get some home workouts, and you're almost turning that person off, right? It's almost almost like, hold on, even though you're trying to do the good thing and offer so much value, that person's like, you know what? No, I just wanted the personal training session, maybe some basic advice. I don't think your program's a fit, even though they didn't even need to have that other stuff, right? But if you did it on the flip side, you're like, yep, cool, run me through, what are you doing? What are you looking for? How can I help you? And maybe if they say, look, all I really want is just a trainer. And here's the other thing. There's so many different trainers, right? Do you want a trainer just for accountability? Hey, I just want to pay someone that makes sure I come and texts me beforehand and texts me after to make sure that I actually come and, writes down all my things and counts all my reps. That's all I want. I don't want someone yelling at me. I don't want someone, this and that. But you could have someone else. Hey, I'm fine with my accountability. I just want you to motivate me and make sure that I do one more rep each time. You can be either trainer, right? So it's just like, okay, let me hear what this person has to say. And then as you mentioned, Justin, it's the bridge across there. So it's like, great, here's my program here. Here's what this person wants. Great. How can I close that bridge by telling, I know what this person wants now. I know what my program can do, assuming it's a fit there. How can I manage them across there? So I love that. I love how you also mentioned around the how long and making it seem like it's the only way. This is once again so specific to fitness as well. I wish I was doing this on my fitness podcast as well, but it works so well in fitness, and we can translate it across to the online course world as well. Say like in the fitness world, there's just so many different gyms out there, right? So many different things you can try. So it's important in that world that you ask beforehand. Cool. So you want to lose 20 kilos. Yeah. How long have you wanted to use it for? Cool. 12 months. What have you tried before? Yep. And this, and this, and this, and this. So you essentially want to get them to tick off every single thing that they've done and hasn't worked before. So when it gets to the close, you're almost using their own logic against them. You're almost like, hey, you've tried these 50 other things that haven't worked. This is the only thing there. So same sort of thing in the online course world as well, where it's like, cool, what have you tried before? Tried this, tried this, tried this. And you can essentially get them to say they've tried everything except do your online course. So it can work from there, which I think was cool. And the permission as well. Yes, I love that. And I use that in many different ways in that circumstance as well, where it's like, awesome. So you want to do, so let me get this straight. What you want to do is this, 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 and this. You've tried this, 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 and this. What you're looking for is this, 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 and this. Is that right? Awesome. Hey, I think my course would actually be perfect for you. Do you want me to give you the quick rundown? Is that okay? Something like that.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, oh yes, please. So it goes from that person being excited to want me to pitch, instead of me being a sleazy salesperson just trying to get my word across. This person's asking me, oh yeah, yes, please. And then same thing. I know we're not really talking about webinars today, but I find that works well there as well. So whenever I'm doing a webinar, I'll give 45 minutes of content, and then I'm like, so how was that? Did everyone have fun? Did everyone learn something? Awesome. Hey guys, are you cool? Does anyone feel overwhelmed? Does anyone not know where to start? Cool. Hey, is it cool if I let you know the next step from here and what you can do to get started? Is everyone cool with that? And then everyone sort of types yes. They're not leaving the webinar now. They've just told me that they want to hear about it. They're almost, being hypocrites if they leave. So I love that you've mentioned that there. So, all right, cool. So now if we're going linear throughout that sales call, we've had a bit of a chat, we've spoken about their goals. We know what they want. We've asked permission. They've said yes. We've now told them about our program. We've matched it to their needs as close as possible. We haven't mentioned, price or anything like that. We've finished telling them about our program or our course. What do we do from there? Do we have to hard close? Do we say, hey, I'll email you a link? Do we, say, hey, here's the website? What's the step from there? We've finished telling them about our program. What do we do now, Justin?
Yeah. So the thing I've found, first of all, I could tell that you've sold some courses before, by the way. I have a very good handle on that. That's awesome. Yeah. So we've gotten to the end of that, right? And you've understood where they're coming from. You've pitched your course and told them how it's going to work. At that point, what I usually do is say, now I'm sure you have some questions for me. And they almost always do. They might have questions about this or that, but I would say 80% of the time, that's a totally made up statistic, but around 80% of the time, what they ask is, well, how much does it cost? Right? And so from there, what I like to do is I like to, this is the kind of question that you can easily just answer. There's a couple different ways you can go. In other words, you can easily just answer, well, it's $497, and that gets you X, Y, and Z.
That's the exact price of my course. You've been studying, or?
I've been studying. And so you can just do that, and that works great. If you really want to dig in, you can also say, well, you know what? I'm really glad you asked. Before we get into that, let me ask you, why did you ask me that? And it takes them for a loop. See, the thing about people is, especially people you're talking to in an online course, they've probably been pitched an online course before, right? So when they ask you how much does it cost, or they've been pitched something before, right? They're not fresh out of the womb and now you're selling them something, right? And so they're expecting you to just say the price and what it includes. I've found, though, that you can keep people engaged and you can become more of an expert and seem more powerful in their mind if you keep them guessing, right? And people are drawn to that because you feel different, right? And so you'll find, if we get into the listen method, it's all about being different. We want to give them a different experience that's not abrasive or pushy or aggressive, right? And so you ask them what, and the answers that you get, I never can predict what I'm going to get. And I'll give you an example of one that I've gotten in the past, which is, well, Justin, I want to sign up for it. I just need to make sure I can afford it. Okay. Now that's a very close to the chest kind of answer, right? How do I know what you can afford? And so I'll say, okay, well, what would you do if you can't afford that? And the answers that you get are surprising. And what you find is now they're selling themselves through the typical objections that you run into. Because think about it. If you want to sign up, but you don't know if you can afford it, well, really, what will you do if you can't? Right? And then instead of you trying to help them through it, they'll say, well, maybe I could borrow money, or well, maybe I could, you know what, Justin, as long as it's less than like 10 grand, I can afford it. Now you're in a very good spot. You say, okay, well, it's 9,000 or whatever. And make them laugh and have fun with it. Right? That's the most important thing. You get to the end of the close. People are emotional, right? They're scared. That's the number one thing. They're scared. They don't want to make a bad decision. They don't want people to criticize them. They don't want it not to work and be a waste of money. And we can talk about all that stuff and like reversing the risk and that kind of thing. But really what you have to just remember is that people are emotional. And so if you can do something they're not expecting and make them laugh, the chances of you closing that sale, no matter what techniques you use, are going to go through the roof.
Yes. Love that. Yes. Especially the laugh and fun side of things, because emotional and also stressful, it's like that person's on the other line. They're worried you're going to hard close them. They probably want to do it, but they're scared if they put their money down, their friends are going to think they're an idiot. Their wife or their husband may, get upset with them for there's so much things going on there. If you can just make that person laugh and because I feel if you can make someone laugh, there's just that compassion. They're like, you know what, this person's actually, it's like a friendly thing. Like if you're trying to make that person laugh and have fun, it's like you care about them more. You're not just here reading out and trying to hard close. You're actually trying to make it enjoyable for them. I appreciate that. So I think that's an important part there. And yes, I love that question. So I've never heard someone explain it like that, So I really like that. Which way should we explore, Justin? Should we explore, because here's what I'm thinking, and let me know your take on here. I love that the way you mentioned that, and I think that's great. Someone like myself who's done a lot of sales before, I'd have no dramas, going around that method there. Someone that's starting off, that may be a big jump for them, to ask that there. That may be easier for them to go the straight up price. Which way would you like to explore first? Should we talk a little bit? I'm guessing it comes to the solution's going to be the same anyway. It's just one's going to be a bit easier. Is that right?
Yeah, right. One of them is more, the kind of second way that I explained is that's something that I think will happen to you naturally as a salesperson. Yeah. Because you'll begin to understand the psychology of your buyer, right? Yep. So I would say, if we're going to talk about what's going to be most helpful, let's say we give them the price, we tell them what it includes, and then talk about what the customer usually says after that.
Awesome. Let's do it. So in that case, we'll just quickly summarize that part there. So what Justin's saying is, it gets to the end of it and you're like, hey, do you have any questions? That person may have a few, but they're always going to ask price. So my close is similar to that, where I'll run them through it. I'm like, great. How does that all sound? Is that something you're interested in? Because it's almost a bit of permission again there. That the person's like, it's exactly what I'm looking for, I'm like, awesome. Like, but how much is it? They'll always, they'll be like, but the elephant in the room, how much is it? Yeah. So there's always that there. I do it now. I go slightly different, same sort of thing. I make it sound a bit more exclusive, So, hey, look, it's actually 2 courses. It's a level 1 and a level 2. The level 1 course is usually $500, or the level 1 course is usually $600. Level 2 course is usually $600. If you go to the website, that's what it is. If you want to register today, I can actually give you both of them for $497. So that's how I sell there.
That's
give
nice.
Sort of, some sort of reason.
It's like a little bonus.
Yeah, a little bonus here. You can, and it's not lying. You go to the website, it is what it is. But if you want to do it right now, hey, this is what it is here. And I'm even with that, it's not a super hard close, because even when I do that, it's, hey, if you want to register today, it's $497. I make it sound like that person needs to do it then and there. All right. But really, if it was a real objection, and we'll speak about this, if it was like, hey, I definitely want to do it, but I'm not doing it before I speak to my partner. So, hey, give me, an hour or give me a couple of hours or whatever. Hey, that's totally cool. I'm not going to be a dick about that, right? But I want to put that urgency in there. But even still, I'll get objections and that side of thing there. But either way, I think we're at the same point here where we've said the call, and then that person's going to say something. Some people will go straight away and do it, but most of the time, people are probably going to say, looks good, but it's a lot of money, or, oh, yeah, let me think about it and get back to you. Or it's just saying 5 over and over. You probably know them better than me, but it's probably, money, time, partner, info, send me an email or whatnot. But let's explore from there. Is each one slightly different? Do we have a framework we can use that can answer, all of them and just plug in different things? What's your take there, Justin?
Yeah, so that's perfect. One of the things I learned when I was selling extended warranties, I sold extended warranties on almost every like regular job I had for the past 15 years. And I developed a framework that is 6 steps, but it allows you to have a conversation as opposed to a fight. Right?
Yep.
And the reason that a lot of salespeople don't overcome objections is because they've been taught through their entire lives, don't fight with people. Right. And nobody likes to fight, except for, psychopaths or people that are the bro closer, right? Nobody likes to have a fight, including your customer. But that's what they've been conditioned at this point is what's going to happen. And so the first step is the method is called the listen method. And it's about listening. It's not about browbeating somebody or coming over the top of them with information. It's really about listening to them and understanding them. But the first step that you've got to do is you got to get them out of fight or flight mode. Yes. And you're in fight or flight mode too. That's the hard part, because especially like as an entrepreneur, you for $497, that's not, I get 10% of that and the company gets the rest. That's, hey, I got a bill that's due right now and I got to close this deal. And this person's saying no. And now, my croc brain is stepping in and taking over the picture and going, you're not going to say no to me. Right. And your ego gets involved and it gets nasty. And your customer's feeling the same way. So they're feeling it from the reverse. This guy's going to take money from me. I'm not going to get what I want. I'm going to be hard closed here. It's going to be awkward, whatever they're thinking. The thing you have to understand, both of you are scared. And that's true for every salesperson. And I don't care how good you get at this. It's always scary at the end. And what it comes down to is how well do you manage that for yourself and how well can you manage it for the other person? And so the first step of the listen method of this framework is what I call a ledge. And so the ledge is a way to give you and your customer, your prospect, some space and kick you guys out of that fight or flight mode. Nobody can make a decision with their croc brain. It's like a retarded bouncer for information, right? It only gets the very basic bare minimum. You ever been in a fight with your spouse and you say something that is a totally well thought out argument and they just understood the first 2 words? And they didn't understand anything else? That's because their croc brain bounced out the rest of that. So the ledge is a pre-prepared statement that knocks them out of that by being different.
Love it.
Yeah. So if you were going to get, it can be complicated, simple, it can be funny. It really has to be your personality, right? So as an example, the quote at the beginning is my ledge. When someone says, I got to think about it, I say, hey, you know what? If this isn't for you, I totally get it, but I'd rather have a no right now. Is that where you're leaning?
Yes. Love that.
Yeah.
Yes. Cool. So let me think my side of things here. Yeah. The reason I love that is, I think that's perfect for, the I think about it or even the partner objection as well. Because in my experience, and this is a simplified version, I feel like the only 2 real objections are money and time, right? I feel like, and you can still handle them, but I feel like they're actually real. It's like, hey, I've actually got X amount in my bank account. Of course, there's ways I could find the money, but I don't know if it's worth it. That's one way there. Or, hey, I'm flat out and I would prefer to do what I'm doing than do the course. So, I'm not, and you'd hand it in that way there. But I feel like anything else is just a made up thing. Hey, I've got to check with my partner, or, hey, let me think about it. The way I look at that is, let me get the real answer. Like if you've got to check with your partner, what have you got to check with them about? Is it about the money? Is it about the time? If you got to think about it, what do you got to think about? Is it the money or is it the time, or do you really want to do it? I want to, and let me think how I ledge it. I must do it in my, cool. And I guess the way I do it, I use it in mine's probably a bit less funny, Mine's just like, yep, cool. So just to make sure I've got it, Justin, because I've asked them before, hey, because they've already said they're interested, right? Before we've gone
Mhm.
into the price, they've already said they're interested. So I'm like,
Yeah.
all right, so yep, cool, totally get it. Want to think about it. Hey, just so I know where you're at, Justin, you do definitely want to grow your fitness boot camp, right? That's something you want to do, and I'll get that confirmation there. They're like, oh yeah, definitely want to do that. Like, cool, and the course can definitely help you. You can definitely see that you definitely want to grow your boot camp, and the course can definitely help you. Yep, cool. It's just you want to think about it. Is that right? Yep, that's bang on. And then also, yep, no drama. So, hey, just so I get my head around it, anything in particular you're thinking about there. So I find when I do it like that, I'm getting confirmation. It's like,
Yeah.
yes, I definitely want to do the course. Yes, I definitely want to grow my boot camp. Cool. Let's get to the real, the real
Yeah.
objection
Yeah.
side of things here instead of just being, oh, you want to think about it. What do you got to think about? Agree. And then, just, you definitely want to do this, definitely want to do this. Because if you don't want to do any of those two, I'm not going to waste my time objection handling. If you don't want to grow your fitness boot camp or you don't think the course is going to help you do it, no objection I can use in the world is going to handle I use in the world is going to, I don't care how good the listen
It doesn't
system
matter.
is, if they don't want it, I don't think it's going to
If
work.
they don't want it, exactly right.
So,
That's
okay,
exactly right.
cool. So
Yes.
that makes sense. Awesome. So we've got our ledge. What's the
Yep.
I?
So you actually led perfectly into that, so your
yes.
ledge is, no, it's great. It's great. So your ledge is getting them to reconfirm, which calms them down because they're thinking about, okay, no, you're right. This is what I wanted. I am interested in this. I do think it'll help me. And so they're calming down. Right. So once they're calmed down, the next step is investigate. And you're going to investigate, like you said, what's the real issue here? Everybody's got opinions, values, and beliefs. And if you can discover what those opinion, values, and beliefs are, often what I find when it comes to objections, like I want to think about it or something, like you've already said, it's not really that they want to think about it. It's that they don't want to tell you what they think about it.
Bang on.
Because they're afraid that you can't handle it.
Yep.
Right? Or it's either that, or for some people, believe it or not, some people don't have an inner dialogue. Some people just go their whole lives off of what things feel like. Right? And they can put it into words if you ask them, but how many of us really ask them? And that's the problem, right? So the investigate step is a question sequence of what, why, how. What do you believe? Why do you believe that? And how is that serving you? Right? So for example, if I'm talking to somebody about a course and they say, oh, I want to think about it, I would say, okay, cool. So you hate me then, or whatever. And we have a good laugh. They go, no. Sometimes they'll just tell you. Sometimes they'll correct you. Some people are out there that they just have to correct you, right? And so let's say we're lucky in that case, and the guy says, no, it's just that, I don't know how much time this is going to take. That's a perfect one, right? That's exactly what you said, right? Yeah. I just don't know how much time this is going to take. And I say, okay, now I'm going to ask him a what question. I'd say, okay, well, pardon me if this is a crazy question, but what do you do with your time now? Right?
Love that.
And I'll make them list it out to me, right? The one thing with this whole thing I'll tell anybody who's in sales is if you ask a question, get an answer. Don't let somebody give you anything vague, So drill down with them and be polite. You remember, this is about empathy and being kind to somebody. You're having a conversation, not trying to close them on anything. The worst thing you can do at this stage is talk about your product, right? You want to talk about them. You got to focus on beliefs, values, and opinions. It's one of those things, right? And so this guy told me that he doesn't believe he has the time. So that's a belief, right? Okay, cool. So why do you believe that? What made you believe that? What made you say that? Anything that starts with what? That digs into that belief, right? So then he tells me, okay, cool, blah, blah, blah. And I'll pick something out. I'll say, okay, so help me understand. And I always it's often too, help me understand. I apologize if this is too forward. But why do you think that watching Netflix is more important than working on your business? Right? Because he just told me he's not sure he has the time, but he also said, I broke down his schedule. He also said he spends 2 hours a night watching Netflix. Now, he could have a good reason. Let's say he says, man, that's the only time I have to spend with my wife.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I'll look at my schedule that he broke down for me and say, okay, where else can we find something? But he might say, and often people say, well, you know what? You're right. Thanks for calling me out. Or they might give me something that I can't handle, but then I'll go into how, and I'll say, okay, so how will you accomplish the goals we talked about before if you're stuck in this pattern of not moving forward? Right? Or how is that helping you? How is spending 2 hours a night watching Netflix helping you? Right? How is that serving you? How do you feel about that? Anything that starts with how. When you hold yourself to that what, why, how question sequence, it's very awkward at first. And you might feel like the question you're going to ask isn't going to get you anywhere. But you just got to ask it because people will blow you away with their answers. And it's designed that way to dig, one layer deeper at a time. So by the time you get to the how question, you've really peeled back the onion and you really understand where that person's coming from. That's the idea.
Yes. Wow. Okay. So many good bits of information there. Let me think how to summarize this. Okay. So, what Justin's saying here, and this is really high level stuff as well. So if you're watching this podcast, I recommend pause and just rewatch this section here over and over and over again, because there's a few really, really good things Justin's doing well. But even just the level of depth, like we're into 2 of 6 at the moment. And I feel like even if you did level 1, you would start to handle some better objections. If you just master the ledge, you're going to start to handle a few. If you master the ledge and investigation, you're going to, handle even more objections still. And we're 2 out of 6 in. So let me think of the best way. And yeah, so, okay, a few things that Justin's done really well. First thing is his mindset. So he's not going in there, how can I close this sale? What can I say to close this sale? That's not what's going in there. Even though that may be the end result, that's not what he's trying to do here. His whole focus is on helping this person. It's like, okay, how can I help this person achieve this result here? That's what's going through his mind. And I feel even that mindset, if you go to objection handling and you think about it less about how can I win the debate and more about how can I help this person? How can I help this person have a breakthrough and make them realize that this is the best program for them? And that's my favorite part of sales. I much prefer, even if I'm selling my own course, I prefer the sale where I've motivated and inspired that person to make that decision and I've changed their belief system so they've realized that this course is better for them. I prefer that part than them actually doing the course and getting the result. So that's important there. And the question. So I'm a huge Tony Robbins fan, and I've managed, and that's where I've learned the question side of things. I just watched Tony Robbins do his, stuff on when he does it. And I realized it's all about questions. He never tells someone what to do. He just asks the right question and that person ends up coming up with the answer themselves. And it's like, if you tell someone what to do, they can argue back. If I'm like, hey, Justin, if I was you, this is what I would do. You'd be like, yeah, but this, and this. But if I ask you, okay, why do you think that? Cool. And so what are you doing instead? Okay. And how is that helping you? Instead of me saying, hey, Justin, you watching Netflix for 2 hours is not going to help your business. Do this course. But if I ask that question, okay, so how is and how's Netflix working for you growing the business? Or how are you going to, and if we go back to the goals, well, okay, cool, I get it. Just a question here, Justin, watching 2 hours of Netflix, how is that going to help you achieve your goals? It's just asking. You're not, and if you have your tone right, and also what Justin does really well as well, is you can see the way he phrases it. It's not, so why are you watching 2 hours of Netflix every night, Justin? It's, hey, Justin, can I ask a question? Hey, I apologize if it's a bit straightforward, but just so I can help you, just so I can get my head around it and see if I can help you. Why 2 hours of Netflix every single day? See, there's different ways you can put it, right? So, really, really good stuff there. And even just to simplify this, get Justin's guide as well. Go on his website, get his guide, print it out, have it next to you while you do this as well, because it is quite high level stuff, and we're 2 out of 6 in. But okay, cool. We've got L and I. What's the S, Justin?
So the S is to state the problem. And so I've noticed that you do this a lot in your process. So that's what you want to do, is state the real problem. Because thinking about it is not the problem. As much as we want to believe that, to get out of the situation because we're scared too. But that's not the problem. You've found it out now. In this case, this guy's concerned that, he's not going to have enough time for recreation, right? He's going to be spending all of his time on his business, and that doesn't sound like a fun future for him. And so I'll just repeat that back to him. Say, hey, John, it sounds like, you're kind of afraid that if you buy into this course, you're not going to have any time for yourself. Is that right?
Yes.
And the most important thing with that is that sometimes you might be wrong.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you might go through all those questions and you completely misunderstand the person. Who knows? We're dealing with such diverse people, especially in the online learning world, that you never know who you're coming across. And so if you're wrong, you want them to give you a chance to correct you. Right? You don't want to assume that you know and then carry on down that road, because if you're solving a problem that you don't know, then you're going to solve the wrong problem, and then they're still not going to buy.
Yes, bang on. So much good points there. To summarize that, you've got to, and that's essentially what we're doing, right? This whole thing is like, okay, what's the real problem? But we need to do L and I to get to S. Otherwise it's too confrontational, and it gets back to the debate. So you're telling me this, Justin, but if we work through this, okay, so based on this, and this is the problem. Is that right? And then it's either a yes, they say that's exactly what it is. And I think the advantage to that is now this person's like, oh, wow, this person actually spent time understanding what my problem was. They didn't just try and close it. This person actually spent time, and this person actually understands me. I feel just that there is going to increase your chances of making the sale, just because this person is like, oh, I gave an objection and they didn't just tell me, oh, it's the price of a cup of coffee a day or whatever, it's like, it's, they've spent all this time and asked all these questions, and they weren't even trying to hard close me. They were just simply trying to find out what the problem is.
Yep.
So
you're absolutely right. Yeah. That brings you right into T. And when you get into T, what you're going to do is take advantage of the reciprocity principle, which is exactly what you're talking about. You as the salesperson or as the coach, like one of my mentors tells me, is you are engineering this encounter. Right. And so you have to do all the hard stuff. You've got to understand them before you can expect them to understand you. Right. And when you do that, you invoke the reciprocity principle. And so that's where the T comes in. The T stands for test for engagement. Now, there's also people who, no matter what you say from this point on, that they are not going to buy. It doesn't matter. There's nothing you can do. Probably 2 out of every 10, there's no way you're going to close them. Now, my goal for you is to not waste your time with them and not waste their time. Right? Because they might be a buyer in the future, like you've said before too, right? So when you test their engagement, you give them the option to continue. And so the law of reciprocity will get 8 out of 10 people to say yes to you, just from right there, because you've taken the time to understand them. And it'll eliminate the other 2. So you say, hey, okay, now based on what you're saying, I think there might be a couple things that you don't understand or that I missed or didn't explain very well. Again, you take that on yourself, fall on your sword. And then say, is it okay if I just cover that with you? And they'll almost, like I said, 8 out of 10 times they'll say yes. Great. We can move on. If they say no, if they, like you said, the partner objection, say, no, Justin, like I want to do it. I just cannot do it without talking to my partner. Great. Then they don't even want to hear what you're about to say is just going to waste their time. Let them go talk to their partner. Right. But for the other people where it is BS and you figured out the real reason, now they've given you that permission. And that's very powerful because they owe it to you to hear you out now.
Yes. Love that. Bang on. Because if you just tried to do that at the start, look, I've already told you it's price. I'm not interested. But if you've gone through all of this, you know what? This guy spent a lot of time and effort. The least I can do is listen to what he's got to say. And really, to get to this point, they're at least half interested. They've inquired, they've got on the phone, they've told you their goals, the goals match, they've told you your program is for you. They want a reason to buy, assuming it's a fit. So I think that's an important thing as well. It's not like you're trying to bully someone in here. You've done all the work beforehand. So, all right, up to E.
Up to E. So E is when you're going to educate them. Yeah. Whether you're going to give them more information, whether you're going to correct an assumption, we often, and I'm very guilty of this, is I assume that because I've explained it one time, the person gets it. Right. But I've found so often it's not the case. And so you might just have to let's take our example guy, for example, he's worried he's going to spend a bunch of time on this, not have any time for recreation. Now I haven't talked about my product yet at all. All I've done is say, you're spending 2 hours a night on Netflix and that's not serving you. Right. And he's told me, I don't want to give that up. Okay, cool. Well, now I can go and educate and I can say, well, hey, but you said that you want to make X amount more dollars. And so for you not to want to give up 2 hours of Netflix a night, it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. That stuff's not serving you. That's wasted time. Now, here's the good news. You don't have to give up 2 hours. All you have to do is give up an hour. Can you live with that?
Love that.
Boom.
Yeah.
Right. And oftentimes right there, that's done, you know? But this is the point again, as a coach, think about it. You've got to come in with the real shit now. You've got to come in and tell them what it is. And whatever that is for you, you got to tell them what it is. Sometimes you've got to cover some information about you. And sometimes you got to cover some information about the course that you're selling and give them some additional bonuses. You know, you're going to have to figure out what that is for you. And yeah, like I said, the guide will walk you through all the different ways that you can cover that spot. But the key is you educate them on what's missing from their picture.
Yes. Love that. And yeah, so many different ways you can do it. You know, it's like if they get through that and we're using time, but it could be the same thing with money. You know, instead of, hey, you know, you go through the budget. Okay, where are you spending your money? Okay, bang, 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 bang. Okay, you're spending it here. Okay, you don't want to give up your, you know, Uber Eats every Friday night or whatever, you know, hey, or every Friday and Saturday night. Hey, you know, you don't have to give it up both. Just give up one. You know, do that one for 10 weeks or whatever it is, you know? And then same with the, you know, oh no, hey, look, your course looks good. You know, your course on how to run a fitness boot camp is good. But I really need boxing stuff. You know, that's what my clients really love. Well, hey, look, if you want to register today, I'm happy to throw in the boxing for free. If that's the only thing holding you back, I do a little test there as well. Okay, so let me make sure I got it. You do want to do it. You want to do this, 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 and this. The only thing is you're also looking at a boxing one. Is that right? Cool. Hey, I've got a boxing one as well. If you want to register today, I'll throw it in. And here's my little strategy. I don't know your take on this, Justin. I'll do whatever possible to within that's ethical to get that person to sign up then and there. Because I feel like the second they get off the phone, the chance of them signing up, even if they tell you, yep, 100% going to do it on Monday. It's the same as fitness as well. It's like the person that's going to start working out on Monday, you know?
Yeah.
That Monday never comes. So I will, one thing I've found is if it's a matter of, you know, knocking off a few bucks here and there or throwing in a few bonuses, you know, here and there, or offering an extra one-on-one coaching call here and there, if that's going to close the deal, I'd recommend, you know, doing it then and there. Would you be the same as well, Justin?
I'd be the exact same as well. Yeah. Whatever you can do to hang in there with this person and get them what they need to say yes within reason, right?
Yep.
It needs to be mutually beneficial, of course. Don't let them take advantage of you.
Exactly.
But there are people out there. I'm one of those people. There are people out there that they've got to get some kind of discount to sign up.
Yeah.
Right.
That's me. Yeah.
And you're going to rate those people. And so just indulge them because you're making it easier for them and making it more comfortable and helping them justify it. Right.
Yeah.
And what's it to you? One more coaching call or, you know, $100 off to get a client change their life. I mean, what's it to you?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel I almost owe it to them as well. They've actually given up their time for whatever it is. Cool. Yeah. You know, there's a bit of a, you know, bonus for that. All right. Yeah. So last one. We're up to the end now, are we, Justin?
Yeah. And again, you've led right into it perfect. Like I said, you're a seasoned sales guy. So the end is the next steps. And that's where I say, do not let them off the phone without setting up solid next steps that, you know, if you're in business to business sales, that involve a meeting or some other kind of commitment from them, what they're going to do. If you're selling courses, that involves some dollar exchange. Yeah. You know, maybe they can't pay. Maybe the thing is money. They don't get paid till next week. Cool. What do you got in your account right now that you can make a transfer of energy for right now? Yeah. Right. That you can commit to right now. Because even if they give you $1, I've had people give me $1 before. Yeah. Give me your credit card. Give me $1. I'm charging the rest on Friday. Yep. But that $1 says to you, not to me. I don't care. I'll find another client right after we get off the phone. Yeah. It says to you that you're doing this. Yeah. Bang. Right.
I love it. I think that's key as well there. A few key points there. Number one, taking it off you. It's not me. I don't care. You know, I've got a whole list of other people. I want to help you. You know, this will show are you really interested? If you're interested, you know, this will show yourself that you're interested. If you're not, totally cool. But hey, just be honest with yourself. You're not that interested. That's cool. You know, don't lie to yourself. So exactly. I love that there. And the next step, and I use, ideally dollar, you know, because sometimes it's just asking. Cool. So, hey, do you want me to get you registered? Because sometimes you can get through all of this and it's almost like, yeah, you're right. Cool. So do you want me to get you registered? You've still got to ask that question there, right?
You still got to ask that question. Yeah,
100%. Exactly. And then even if it's not the full price, you know, all right, cool. Hey, we use Justin's system. I've even used in many different ways, setting it up for the future. So, all right, cool. Hey, so you get paid. They'll be like, oh, look, I just don't get paid till next Friday. All right, cool. Hey, give me your details now. I'll process it on Friday. Okay. Or,
Hmm.
we're doing a payment plan, but you can't make the first payment till Friday. So instead of them saying, hey, I'll call you back on Friday, hey, just give me your details now. I'll set it up now. First payment will come up on Friday. Any situation, whatever happens, if it doesn't work out, just tell me beforehand and I'll cancel it. It's totally cool. So I
Yep.
use that there. Or even if it's not $1, I'll get something. So it's not
Yeah.
just, even if it's not like, oh, look, hey, I'll give you a call back tomorrow. Yep, cool. Let's book it in now. What time? Okay. Or, hey,
Yeah.
Jono, I'm cool. Can you call me back tomorrow? Yep. Let me put it in here. What time are you free tomorrow? It's always
Yep.
something. It's never just, and it's always me as well. It's not, hey, yeah, you give me a call at, 11 tomorrow, because we all know how that's turning out, right? It's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
cool. I'll give you a call tomorrow. Are you free at 11? Cool. Lock it in your diary. There's always some next step there. So I love that. Hey,
Absolutely.
Justin, such a good episode. We're even over time, so I feel bad because I told you it was an hour and we're already over here. So we'll
That's
wrap it up
okay.
pretty quick, but I'll let the listeners know. So 100, like this here, like that last 20 minutes or whatever it was, like I would pay $1,000 for that. The info that Justin gave then and there, like if you did a course and that course cost $1,000 and you got that info there with the script and you can watch it and go over and over again, that's easily worth $1,000 in a course. It'll probably make you thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars back just by mastering that there. So I recommend do yourself a favor, watch this over and over and over and over again. Download Justin's guide there. Jump on the phone with him if you can. He's looking to put together a course anyway. If he's got a course at that stage, buy it, because chances are as well, and I don't know if this is the strategy, but here's the way I look at it as well. Really, with what you've learned here, you should be able to make a few $1,000s. I don't know what Justin charges for his course, but you can essentially pay him back with the money that he made you. It's like, great, I learned this script and I've made a few $1,000s. Great, here's Justin's course for whatever it is. If he gave me that for free, imagine what's in the real course there. So I do that. One question to finish off, Justin. I always ask all my guests their favorite. There's a few different ways we can do it, but let's say if you could give us a book or two related to sales, a person to follow on social media or two related to sales.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
Or
books are
more
my
if you
thing.
want to.
Yeah. So the books on sales, I would say Sales EQ by Jeb Blunt.
Yep. Good book.
Yep. Really, really. I mean, that one is that's a great one. I would also say The Way of the Wolf by Jordan Belfort.
Oh, haven't read that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Okay.
That is a good one. Yeah. If you're going to follow somebody on social media, I would say sales wise, follow Ryan Stewman. Nobody, not even me, gives more free value away in terms of sales process and tips and mindset and stuff than Ryan Stewman. So definitely check him out. And who else was I going to say? Oh, I would also say, for any salesperson, now this might sound kind of weird, but your audience would really probably appreciate it. I would say Ray Edwards as well. Ray Edwards has a free Facebook group, and he is awesome. Salespeople got to know copy.
Yeah.
Because it just will level up your game in ways that you can't predict if you're selling. So yeah, hope that helps.
Yes. Oh yes. So I've huge fan of Ray Edwards. So I basically get all my copy from him. I just use his paster formula and I just plug it all in, and it's I feel they're so closely related as well. It's essentially the same thing. Here's your problem, here's the solution. How can we bridge it, whether we do it via a sales call or via copy? I find sales phone calls a bit easier because you can actually just, talk to that person then and there. Copy is a bit harder. But in saying that, the more of these sales conversations you do, the better your copy will get, because you just know the answers there. If you try and write copy without having done hundreds of sales calls, good luck.
This will be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, I don't want to take up any more of your time, Justin, but is there anything you wanted to leave us with or anything you wanted to finish up with? I'll make sure I put the link to your Facebook group in the description. It's, if you're on your computer now, it's www.salesespionage.com. And I'll also put the link to your website where everyone can get the free guide, which is www.covertcloser.com. Anything you wanted to finish us off with there, Justin?
Hey, the biggest thing I would tell everybody here is just remember, when you're selling, when you're on the phone with somebody, people believe what they say, not what they hear.
Yes. Love that. Awesome. All right, Justin, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, likewise, Jono. Have a good one.